Once upon a time, in a fierce snowstorm, a stranger walks into an inn in Epping, named the Coach and Horses. The stranger had a very odd appearance. Whole of his mouth was covered with a bandage, and his eyes were covered by old-fashioned goggles. Only his nose peeked out of the getup, and thus he didn't show his face to anybody.
Mrs. Hall describes the man as a very strange man. She says that the man must be in some scaring accident.
At the inn, from the next day of his check-in by a man named Fenenside, which included a lot of glass bottles and some handwritten notes. Months passed in this way until around April, when the stranger became short of money and he could not pay the bill he was supposed to.
Mrs. Hall was the innkeeper of the place where the stranger was staying. As Mrs. Hall asked him to pay his dues, and the stranger was short of money, he threatened everybody to kill them and then escaped from the place. Mrs. Hall was really shocked from the behavior of that person.
As the stranger escapes from Epping because of the shortage of money, he moves to a new town in England. But as walking on the roads trying to find a shelter, he remembers that he has forgotten three of his important books in Epping. So he takes help of one of his friends who was staying in the village named Thomas Marvel, and Thomas Marvel helps him to get the books back. He secretly sneaks into the stranger's room and gives the stranger his books. Soon, Thomas Marvel does not feel safe with the stranger, and thus he wants to get rid of him. But just as he was escaping from the the stranger threatens him to kill him if he tries to escape from him and refuses to help him. Then, after wandering a lot on the streets of England, they reach a place called Jolly Crickets, and where a lot of people help Thomas Marvel and they tried to hurt the stranger, but he escaped again, and then he moves to a new town. The stranger got very frustrated and irritated from these people, and then he decided to move to another house owned by Dr. Kemp. Dr. Kemp helped the stranger very much. He served him food and gave him the medicines so that he can recover from the injuries he faced. In return, the stranger told him the secret about himself. He told that his real name was Griffin and he was a student of medical science, but he lacked the interest in that subject and wanted to try an experiment on invisibility. His invisibility test on a cat, which was half success. But to correct the experiment, he needed a lot of money. And for that, he stole money from his own family, his own house, which led to his father's death. And then, to escape from his granddad, he turned in, he turned invisible and then ran. He covered his body from head to toe with bandages so that he is not banged and pushed by the people on road. Dr. K wasn't one of them who would get scared by his drama and won't call the cops. He called the cops immediately, secretly. And not to our surprise, Griffin escaped once again, just as the police arrived. But to our surprise, Griffin returned the next day because he wanted help from Dr. Kemp to get visible again. But Dr. Kemp called the police once again, and this time Griffin even killed two policemen. This time, Griffin threatens Dr. Kemp and he says, "If you don't help me or you call the police, I will kill you." The police refused to come this time. They thought that Dr. Kemp was a friend of the stranger, and it was a plan to kill the two policemen. And then Dr. Kemp started to run away from him.
Dr. Kemp starts to run away from his own home. Then he asks some people in his town and street to help him.
And then the people on the street killed the invisible man. Yes, they killed the invisible man, and then the body became visible.